So I would like to thank a lot to you for showing the interest for having this short discussion about efficiency, about of the digital workflow, about the new trends. And I know that you are doing many things in your clinical practice and in your research. So it would be great to discuss with you some of the topics. I have received some of the answers, so I think all of us will have a very nice productive discussion in the next 30 minutes. So 10 minutes allocated for each of you, and let's start. So we will start from Victoria.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, Professor. As you know, I have many questions, as always, but my first question is a little bit connected about my PhD work and translational medicine work, because we always have to find a vision and a mission for ourselves, and I am really interested in your mission and in your vision. So can you tell your vision and mission? And also, I'm very interested in that what is your highest goal and what you want to achieve in the field of digital dentistry. So this is my first group of questions.
Yeah, so most probably, as many of us, I have also started my path with the digital workflow with when the intraoral scanners were there, and at the beginning, understanding of my mission was that how to solve this accuracy problem with intraoral scanners. But later on, you start to see the clinical cases in broader perspective, and then you understand that the game is more difficult. So it's not only the intraoral scanners. And sometimes I'll try to share my screen just to illustrate a little bit of what I mean. And that so. Yeah, so can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, so in general, what I started to think that the digital workflow is more complex just intraoral scanners. So the number one mission for us is with the help of digital workflow to minimize the number of clinical and of complications of technical and biological complications. So this is the ultimate goal of the digital workflow. Then I see that it's very complex sometimes. If you want to use, if you want to be a really extreme digital dentist, then you have to use many digital devices, and quite often they are not integrated, and they cause a lot of headaches. So another mission for me is to simplify the digital workflow. Then we have a lot of techniques, and those techniques work reliably nowadays. Intraoral scanners, I think, are very successful now in capturing implant scan body positions, but it's not enough. We need bite registrations, so many other things, dynamic movement recording, and so on. Then we have error propagation problem. I will not be able to show this animation, but these errors tend to appear, and so on. So in general, what I want to achieve as a prosthodontist is, as I called, total fit workflow. So we need implant positions achieved with the help of digital workflow in a very prosthetically friendly way, and driven by the biological principles. And then we have to tune our digital workflow, digital and analog workflow, in such a way that all the targets for the fit, not only the passive fit, would be hit. So for this purpose, I'm organizing this workflow in 6 steps. If maybe you have heard about this, so planning step, collecting of the information, treatment planning, then we plan guides, immediate prosthesis, then we do the surgical step, digital registrations, and then we have lab procedures and finalization of case. So one of the clinical missions also to deliver the prosthesis like in one shot without try-ins. So shortly, these are the missions that I'm currently engaged, and in these 6 areas we are concentrating with working on clinical solutions, and research projects are also directed toward this.
Thank you very much. It was very interesting for me because this is one key point, I think. My second question will be that how can you translate the knowledge from your researches to the everyday practice in your dental practice? Because you mentioned before that there is a gap. There are the researchers and there are the clinicians, and we need this gap to be smaller and smaller. And I think this is one of the biggest goals for us who do research and also do clinical work.
Yeah. So as we know that doing only research or doing only clinical work is not the best idea. So when we combine both, we understand things better. So this happened also in my case, and I'm sure it's happening for you as well. So for me, there were a few cases also. So let's say this study that we published quite some time ago, we're comparing analog and digital workflow, and we saw that doesn't matter which workflow we were using, if implant angulations were, let's say, crazy or highly angulated. So then with both workflows, we were not achieving a good result. So this is one of the ideas that can be transferred also to the research and clinical practice, that you have to avoid such situations. Other things that in a planning phase, for example, if we have limited number of landmarks of teeth, then we'll run the slideshow just to show the video. You see just a few teeth remaining, and then alignment. We see in the clinical practice that alignment is not enough. So we need artificial reference objects, landmarks, and then with the help of them, then we are able to improve alignment of the images and improve actual accuracy of guided surgery. And yeah, these are few of the examples. Of course, there are many more examples with the intraoral scanner used, that when you register the bite and then you see that something is not working in your clinical practice, then it's a good idea. Maybe we should investigate this in the research setting.
By the way, did you have this kind of aha feeling, or was it very interesting for you that you did the research and then you find out also that it has a real clinical significance? But did you have this kind of aha feeling in your practice?
Yeah, sometimes, of course, these things are lost during the research, because research, as you know, lasts quite long. And then like at the end of the research, you get to know that the new intraoral scanner was released, or the major software update was there. So it's not always happening, but in some cases, yes, you better understand the problem, and then you return better in the clinics, and you can provide better patient care.
Yes, thank you very much. And my third group of questions. What do you think, where are iOS going? what do you think? How can we manage to do more in vivo studies with iOS? Because I read in one of your articles that in vitro studies are hard to translate to the everyday practice, and in vivo studies must be done. But this is a very complicated area, I know. So, what do you think about this?
So most probably you're thinking you're talking about this study. So definitely yes, this is the problem, that we want to extrapolate the results from the in vitro studies to the in vivo setting, which is not very easy, not the right way to do. But there are quite many challenges still left for the intraoral scanners. And as I said, for recording scan body positions, we are quite in a nice position. And this is a systematic review we published quite recently, showing that photogrammetry intraoral scanners, they provide comparable results, as it was shown here. But we have challenge to integrate successfully intraoral scanner data into the whole digital workflow, because okay, it's great that you have a perfect intraoral scanner registration of the scanned bodies, but then down the road you are losing this accuracy with so many lab and clinical steps. So one thing, and another thing that we are talking not, which is covered not enough, is the accuracy of byte registration. And now we see the number of publications is increasing on this topic, and we are also working on this. So I think these are the main challenges and for the intraoral scanners. So thank you very much for your questions. And now we can go to Miroslav.
Thank you so much, Professor. Thank you, Victoria, for your questions. Actually, dear Professor Rutkūnas, you have already quite mentioned some aspects of my first question, and it will be quite, I think, practical mostly. I just wanted to ask if you think of different additional devices or different approaches, I mean, in means of scan embedment splinting or in means of horizontal scan embedment usage and stuff like that. Does it help us to reach the accuracy of intraoral scanning for cases where we have the patient rehabilitated in the conditions of full edentia with just the constructions on implants? Does it help us to reach the accuracy as photogrammetry? Because of course, yeah, in vitro studies show that intraoral scanning and photogrammetry is basically near the same accuracy. But if we then go a little bit deeper into the photogrammetry and principles of transferring data regarding the positions, we see how it's different from intraoral scanner. So does the use of any additional devices or technique or maybe some strategies in scanning full arch implant cases help us to reach better accuracy?
Yes, so the short answer is yes, because as you know, the first scan bodies, and actually currently I'm still using them, this vertical scan bodies, they have some disadvantages for the full arches because they are vertical scan bodies, and then we have quite long jumping distance, which for the intraoral scanner is not easy to go because there's a lack of reference objects, and gingiva, especially in the lower arch, is not friendly at all for this purpose. So as you see here, in my clinical practice, I'm using additional reference objects. So they facilitate the stitching. The use of them in the mandible is not that easy. And for that purpose, horizontal scan bodies like Nexus and others were developed. I invite you to read this nice paper recently published on the classification of complete arch implant scanning. So because there are so many techniques, and now they need to be classified a little bit because they differ in nature. But what's my point is that as in this systematic review, we see just slight differences photogrammetry in intraoral scanning. So I believe with the current intraoral scanners and careful scanning strategy, you can achieve quite good result. But the biggest challenge is that you have these positions registered in the digital world, and you don't have any physical model, any analog thing, because at some point in your workflow, you will still need to go back to the reality. So the technique that I'm using, and actually a lot of now clinicians are using, it's a control cast technique. So besides putting a lot of effort in increasing the accuracy of intraoral scan, I do the splint. And in this study, you see also that the splinting of the scan bodies or some other impression devices is increasing. The popularity of it is increasing. So I do the splinting, and what I do in this, what I achieve in this way is a 3-in-1 effect. I get the splint, I get the verification jig, so I save additional visit, and then from this, I can produce the physical model. So splinting is getting more popular, but not so much information which material to use. So this was the reason we published this paper on different splinting techniques and splinting materials, because many clinicians still think that plaster is the most reliable material, but based on our study results, there are more reliable splinting techniques. So I think by combining those two techniques, you achieve the aim of you do some kind of photogrammetry, plus you have verification jig, and plus you have physical model, which for dental technician is needed if he or she will be cementing the work on the titanium basis.
Thank you so much, Professor. Thanks. And if I may, I will jump to the second question. And it will be a question more from the educational point of view, because I myself being the head of department of restorative dentistry here in Ukraine, and thanks to DDS, help, we have established the digital dentistry essential course for the pre-graduate students. So they already get familiar with the intraoral scanning and with all the digital devices at the third year of their studying. But we face the effect when the youngsters get familiar with digital dentistry in young age, while not cover all other fundamentals dental stuff yet. They get a little bit over impressed with this know-how effect of digitality and overall. And question will kind of maybe quite a philosophical. How do you think, what should be the extent of basic knowledge for the pre-graduate student regarding the digital dentistry?
Yeah, so before answering your question, I want to extend my personal and from my team also support to Ukraine. And we really hope that the situation will improve and this crazy situation will end. And what you are doing, guys, and still you are working in the clinical and research field, it's amazing. So all the best to you. And for this part, because even being a fan of digital dentistry, I know that I still need some analog techniques in my clinical practice, especially for natural teeth, for deep margins. We don't have still technology that work reliably. And I think that essential training of like silicone impression taking, retraction, proper retraction technique, which cannot be underestimated, still have to be taught. And as you said, that jumping to the digital technologies maybe at the early stage may be not the best option. So I agree with you, and I think that this basic training is essential, and some analog techniques have still basic analog techniques. They have to be thought, and only then digital, all the digital solutions can be added on top of it. So I think it's this direction is still meaningful, but we have to see what the future will bring us with all the artificial intelligence tools.
Thank you so much, Professor. And actually, the end of your answer is the beginning of my question, the last one, regarding, because nowadays artificial intelligence, it's actually in means of digital dentistry. It's popping up everywhere, and we have the body of evidence is growing each day with the artificial intelligence being involved, in different approaches, ways of digital dentistry, and etc. Like for bite registration, we have this bite finder software, or we have this software which closes the scan holes within the scan right away and try to reconstruct the missing parts, and etc. And also we have many of diagnostics now, developed on the artificial intelligence for the caries detection, like in early Medit version of the scanner, and etc. But on your own opinion, even though these techniques are of different maturity right now, and these models, artificial intelligence models, are different, how can you assess personally their reliability right now for the clinical practice and in the nearest future?
Yeah, so your question is really broad, but I can provide you just a general comment from my perspective. But what I'm seeing that, and as you know, the artificial intelligence tools are really changing the diagnostic step. They allow us to detect the caries. Then we have some 3D image segmentation tools, detection of the broken implants, and so on. So I think at this step, actually, this first step, treatment planning, is the most difficult for me and the most challenging, actually. So making a digital impression and bite registration is quite easy, straightforward, but this first step is still an art of dentistry. So I see many things that have to be improved, and with the help of artificial intelligence, maybe we will be more consistent in diagnosing and providing patient-oriented treatment planning. But I have to say to you frankly that in my clinical practice, I'm not using a lot of these solutions now, so they still have to be integrated into the clinical practice with more success. For the digital impression taking, yes, and I think it's a little bit a question of fashion to add this, that, intraoral scanner is powered by AI solutions and so on, but sometimes I'm just willing to switch off this, especially with some of the scanners, because I'm afraid that by patching the image and doing some increasing trying to stitch the images which were not accurate, then we can introduce some errors and we can lose the accuracy. And of course, since my interest is integration of all steps of digital workflow, so really it would be great to have a tool which will go through all the steps and would validate the digital workflow and will somehow aware of all errors that are appearing in our digital workflow, because sometimes we wait for the research to be published for some new device, new technique, and this is a big challenge. So here I would like to comment one thing that we are working on the Total Fit Workflows Inspector tool. Actually now it's ready So let's say you are in the clinical practice, you are using different scanners, you obtain some new 3D printer and you have new implant components. So all of these things can affect a lot the digital workflow accuracy. So how we can find out as the clinicians which workflow is the best, because we have a lot of workflows in our clinical practice. So by scanning different models using different scenarios, different scanning strategies, different byte registrations, and different components, we can get like very simple report on which technique showed the best result for recording scan body positions, which technique was most accurate for recording the byte registration, with which components we lose the accuracy. So maybe we have to change something here with our workflow. So these kind of tools that will verify our workflow in very fast, effective way will provide us so needed feedback that will increase the our reliability and increase the quality of our treatment.
Thank you so much, Professor. Thank you.
So let's move to the third participant, Samir. Nice to meet you. I don't know you.
Nice to meet you,
Please
Doctor.
introduce yourself and which country you're from.
I am Egyptian. I'm from Egypt.
From Egypt. Cairo.
Yeah. Not Cairo, but I'm from Egypt, another city in Egypt.
Okay.
Thanks for this initiative.
Yeah,
Thanks for this initiative from you and to take from your time to share your professional and your knowledge with us. My question regarding the immediate loading. If there is any valid and reliable way to evaluate the case if it is will go for immediate loading or not immediate loading just before starting the implant clinical. I mean, before insertion the implant, if there is any valid way to see this case who can go for immediate loading or no from digital perspective.
Yeah, of course, immediate loading now is gaining a lot of popularity, as you know. Even textbooks about immediacy are published, a lot of papers and a lot of knowledge. So a lot of advantages from biological point of view, providing the prosthetic component right after the implant placement. So increasing the results, aesthetic and biological results with this. And I'm using in clinical practice a lot of immediate loading. So majority of cases, especially full arch cases, of course, are done with immediate loading. How we can evaluate this, okay, maybe it's not the best slide. It's a demonstration model, not real patients. But as you see with all the planning softwares, we can easily evaluate the bone quality and quantity that we have on the CBCT image. So again, this is not a real bone, but you can appreciate with all the color codings the type of the bone that you have. And what is
if you wanted to show a slide, we don't see a slide.
Yeah. I'm not showing. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Now you can see.
Yes.
Yes. So with different planning softwares, you are able to see the bone quality. As in this case, this is again not a real bone; it's a demonstration model. But here you can see with different color coding, you can see the bone quality. And different color coding represents different bone quality. But it's and what is very important as well, that here you can plan the prosthetic component. So especially in the full arch cases, it could be challenging because not all the planning softwares has the abutment libraries. I mean, multi-unit abutment libraries. Titanium basis you can easily find on the softwares, but multi-unit abutment libraries, not all the softwares has. And if it's available in your planning software, it's a huge advantage for the full arch cases, because then you can play with different prosthetic components, adjust the angulation, plan immediate procedures. So then your workflow becomes predictable. So, well, stackable guides can be used, and for the full arch cases, we're using a double guide technique quite often. And what is essential for the immediate load, it's initial implant stability. So seeing the bone quality is not enough. You have to have in mind which surgical protocol for osteotomy preparation you will be using. And this, in my opinion, is not well developed with all the implant systems. So you have to relate as the clinician very well, which bone quality do you have and which drilling protocol you will be using, because this will allow you to gain good primary stability. And then, of course, what result we want to see is here. We want to see prosthetically friendly implant positions. At the beginning, they look not friendly because they are divergent, but after placing multi-unit abutments and their direction was planned, we obtain prosthetically friendly implant position. And this will not be a challenge for intraoral scanner. No way, intraoral scanner can scan angulated scan body successfully. This will be a problem to achieve the passive fit of the prosthesis. Okay, so I deflected a little bit from the immediate loading. In a short way to answer is yes. But what is very important to consider as well, the prosthetic protocol that you will be using for immediate loading. And for the full arch cases, when you place implants, it's not always easy to provide immediate prosthesis. So we have special types of abutments that we're using that facilitate the relining procedure and shorten the chair time for you as a prosthodontist to reline this. So this is my answer shortly.
Okay. Thank you, Doctor, for your answer. My other question regarding now there is some clinician and some doctors start making a surgical guide for sinus lift cases. Either it is either it is direct or indirect. So is it valid and reliable to rely on surgical guide for sinus lift cases?
Okay, so for the closed sinus elevation, I'm using guided surgery, because then I'm placing the tip of the implant right at the bottom of the sinus, and then I'm confident that I'm not perforating the sinus, and then I proceed with the closed sinus lift procedure. For the open sinus elevation, I have the guide, because usually if it's only one implant and the open sinus lift elevation is needed, most probably I will not be making the guide, because still, maybe because I am coming more from analog world, and it's does not provide me any problem to do it. But I know that some of the dentists, they like it, and it's your decision to prepare some guides to determine the window location. I think it can increase the safety of procedure, and if the clinician feels that the safety of the procedure will be increased, so why not? But for the open sinus elevations, the advantages of the guided surgery are a little bit limited, because still the implant, when everything is prepared and we are placing multiple implants, and one of these implants is placed in using the open sinus elevation, then for implant insertion, I would use the guide just to keep the direction between both implants more parallel, because if I will be doing just by freehand, most probably this implant I'm placing with the open sinus elevation freely by hand will deviate, and then I will make some problem for the passive fit of the prosthesis.
If we, in the case of sinus lift, the open sinus lift, in case we use surgical guide and we find some septum inside the sinus, how can we handle this case if we didn't plan from the beginning to put the implant in this septum or in other way?
Yeah, so I think it's guided surgery, will not save you from bad planning. If you have bad planning or you did not evaluate some condition from the beginning, so it will not change the game. So with the current technologies, with the CBCT analysis, you have to prevent this from happening, and this is the purpose of digital technology. So if you see the situation, so just, I think you have to abort your mission and replan the case. And in this regard, I can comment a little bit on types of navigation. Maybe I have a slide here, because as you know, we have static and dynamic navigation. So dynamic navigation in this regard offers you a little bit more of the flexibility. If you plan your implant position and you observe that something has to be modified, so without any problem, chair side, you can change implant position, and the dynamic navigation, using dynamic navigation, you will modify the treatment plan and you will change the implant position. But with the static navigation, once the guide is already 3D printed, of course, you are not flexible to change it and either abort mission, either modify your treatment plan by freehand if you feel that you are experienced enough.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, so thank you.
I finished my question. Thank you.
Oh, you're a surgeon, so you most probably, so you have a lot of questions from that part. So I would like to thank you a lot for your participation. Some of the research papers I have quoted you can find on the digitorum.eu website. Some of the works that we're doing, of course, for the clinical cases, I'm sharing them on the social media, so you're more than welcome to follow me there. And also we are organizing 2-day course in Vilnius this December. So in this course, we will be integrating all the aspects of total fit workflow, from surgical steps, planning steps, surgical steps, prosthetic lab steps. So I think this will be quite productive 2 days in Vilnius. So if you have a chance to attend, you are more than welcome. Okay. So basically that's it. Wow, a lot of questions, and now I will have to think after this session how I have to modify all the research projects. But Miroslav, you're working on some artificial intelligence applications, right?
Yeah, we actually trying to enhance such regarding the forensic identification based on the changes of jawbones. And we have doing that for last 2 years, and now it's get quite to the progress, but I don't want to be over positive regarding the outcomes, so we just little keep it in secret. But yeah, we are actually working on that.
Yeah. So commenting on that from the DDS meeting, ReLU system. So it's was aimed only for segmentation of the images, but now they have the model for the implant placement. But it's a little bit funny because I remember like 15 years ago, with the Simplant planning software, there was a button. Of course, I had the not complete version. And there was a button of Dr. Jones, and in automatic way, the software was placing implants 15 years ago. Because this is a nice illustration for me. How long does it take from the idea to reach the reality? But I think now we are quite close. Okay, so once again, thank you very much for your participation, for your interest, and see you. I really hope to see you in the meetings, and all the best for Ukraine. Slava Ukraine.
Thank you. I'm Slava. Thank you, Professor.
Okay.
Thank you, Professor.
So see you. Bye bye.
See ya. Bye bye. Thank you.
See you.
Bye.